here, so that it's ready to go at 9. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Tablelands Regional Council special meeting of the 30th of June 2022 to deal with our budget. Could I just remind everyone to turn their devices off? Thank you. Do we have any apologies? No? I'd like to, oh, it's okay, I'll just stand today. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of this land that we meet on today and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. Item 5, do we have any declarations, material personal interests, conflicts of interest by councillors or senior council officers? No, thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we move on to the nuts and bolts of the budget, I'd like to ask for a mover and a seconder to open for discussion our budget and operational plan. So if I could have a mover to open for discussion, Councillor Wilts is moving, and a seconder. Councillor Cardew is seconding. Thank you. I'll take this opportunity to read my budget address, and then all councillors will have an opportunity. The Tablelands Regional Council 2022-2023 budget is defined by 3 primary factors. First, it follows through on this year's averaging of land valuations in formulating rates. This will be the decisive final year of averaging. Second, it's sensitive to both CPI and relevant industry cost indexes set against extraordinary and ongoing economic growth of the Tablelands. This growth is out of the box and leading the FNQ region. Third, the budget consolidates a reset for the TRC with surpluses projected for this year and future years, which begins to underpin a platform for sustainable growth for both council and community. Council is fully cognizant of the cost of living pressures and has kept its revenue at levels on par with what it needs to deliver the services to community. It's not an easy time, however, with surging activity and demand, Council holds the view that keeping up with growth is critically important. Against those defining factors, today's $97.6 million budget includes $29.8 million capital investment and $67.8 million in operations. On the capital side, there is $14.7 million on roads, bridges, drains, and this almost mirrors the commitment from last year. For the U10 road alone, there is $4 million for upgrading, which will complete TRC's portion of the road. There's $2.5 million each for road pavement rehabilitation and gravel resheeting. There's $1.9 million for resealing. For water quality improvements at Ravenshoe, there is $6.4 million for the water treatment plant and pipelines to Millstream, Bellevue, Castlereagh and the Boost pump station. There's $1.7 million for wastewater. There's $3.7 million for parks and gardens, which includes the progression of Priors Creek Master Plan and early enabling work $600,000 for the Ravenshoe Netball Court Shelter, $280,000 on regional entry and First Nations signage, and $250,000 for the Herberton Battery Park. Of the operational budget's $67.8 million, there's $18 million on roads and bridges, $9.5 million on water, $8.2 million on waste, $7.6 million on parks and gardens, $7.5 million on corporate and community buildings, and $6.4 million on waste water. In the last 2 financial years, Council has achieved a significant operating surplus, almost $1 million in 2020-2021 and a forecast $4 million this financial year. Yes, early receipt of grants play a part this year, but we have also beaten our budgeted expenditure each year. This is a significant achievement and one that I'm particularly pleased to be reporting. The budget we are adopting today provides for an operating surplus each year over the forward estimates, which is commendable given the cost pressures faced by Council. TRC has existing borrowings to the value of $5.2 million, primarily against our Malanda and Ravenshoe sewerage plants. Council is expecting to undertake further borrowings in the coming years as we undertake upgrades to sewage treatment facilities in Atherton and Yungaburra. Rates and charges. The general rates applied across each rating category are a mixed bag because the recent land valuations have dramatic variations from one property to the next. Averaging applied last year to transition to these new valuations will come to an end in 2022-2023. Averaging land valuations over 2 years allowed Council to mitigate last year's valuation spike so that rating impacts were minimised. This coming year, the full valuations will be applied to the rating calculation. The quantum of rates, levies and charges will increase revenue by 6.14%. As already suggested, due to varying land valuations, this increase will not be seen consistently across properties, rather it will be highly variable due to the wide-ranging land valuations. Utility charges have increased also to support essential infrastructure development such as new water and wastewater treatment facilities which benefit our entire community. For general rate categories most affected by land valuations, such as primary production and large grazing properties, these rates will increase on average by $1,020 per annum and $3,530 per annum respectively. This follows the primary production land valuations on average increasing just this year by $119,000 and grazing properties increasing on average by $650,000. Yet with such variations in valuations, some properties will actually pay less than last year. For residential properties, Council has done all it reasonably can to contain rate increases. Across residential houses, flats, units and rural lifestyle properties, there will be a general rate rise of approximately $8 per annum or 0.11%. This is a great outcome for more than 80% of ratepayers. Council is committed to containing rate rises for residential properties in order to address inequity in Council's rates burden across the rating categories. While residential properties account for 24% of our land value, their rates contribution equates to 33% of rates revenue. This rating inequity needs to be addressed over time, and we've made a modest start with this budget. With regard to utility charges, Council must invest in its reserves to ensure long-term solutions to water quality and reliability with a 4.19% increase for water access and a 14 cent per kilolitre increase for consumption. There is also a 3.5% increase in waste charges and 5.5% for sewerage. These charges are essential in supporting activities and completing facility upgrades. Council is currently undertaking an organisation-wide service review. The review will look at Council's services to ascertain where the organisation is heavy or light, to provide intelligence on moving forward in an informed and strategic way. The review will be completed this year. Again, and before I wrap up, can I reiterate that Council is fully committed to maintaining its capacity to deliver essential and enabling services despite cost index pressures in an economy that's surging. To achieve this, we have matched our projected increase in revenue against our forecasted cost increases. We must maintain our capacity and make the most of this opportunity. Finally, I would like to take the opportunity to thank councillors for their contribution to this budget. It has been a major challenge and we've worked constructively with community in mind. I'd also like to acknowledge the management team and in particular the Manager of Finance and her team for the effort they made in constructing the budget over many months. I'd also like to acknowledge our CEO for bringing his experience and oversight to this critical plan. Councillors, I submit to you the 2022-2023 budget. Councillor Cardew, I might go to you next, if that's okay.
Yeah, thanks, Mary. Developing this budget has been a challenge to say the least. With last year's explosion of land valuations, especially in the rural areas, still influencing this budget due to the decision to apply averaging over 2 years and the recent rapid increase in inflation, with CPI currently sitting at around 6%, with forward forecasting predicting CPI to be around 8% by Christmas, has meant Council must take reasonable steps to ensure we can continue to meet community expectations in delivering essential services within budget and within an increasing volatile economy. Since the beginning of our term, we have managed to deliver a balanced budget in the first year and a small surplus in the second year, and we are on track to ensure surpluses in the next 3-year budget projection. The cost of goods and materials such as fuel, construction materials and the like are skyrocketing, with no indication of stabilising anytime soon. The potential economic impact on Council moving forward is uncertain, and we must take measures now to ensure we are sustainable moving forward. While I cannot argue a 6.14% rates and charges increase is hard to swallow, we need to ensure Council is adequately positioned to deal with the volatile economic climate ahead. We are currently in the process of conducting a service level review across the whole of the organisation in an attempt to become more efficient in the way we operate and to identify cost-saving opportunities. We have also developed a project management office with the aim of significantly improving the design, budgeting and delivery of projects in the most cost-effective way possible. It is in these two areas where I believe we can change the way Council has been typically operating in order to achieve real cost savings, which will improve our bottom line in the future, which will in turn help keep future rates increases to a minimum. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all our staff who have worked tirelessly in trying to develop a responsible budget, given the hand that they have been dealt from major influences outside the control of Council. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Cardew. Councillor Wills.
Yeah, just very briefly, and if I could reserve the right to make a comment after my learned colleagues express their views on the budget. Mr Mayor, you made notation or a comment that we will have a $4 million surplus this year, and we have to look at the importance of the grants that we've been fortunate enough to get. But we've achieved that surplus, and it's not just through the grant funding. There's been huge ongoing efforts, as the Deputy Mayor alluded to, huge ongoing efforts to look at strategies to reduce expenditure across the board, and that will continue into the future. So I'll just pass it around the table, and if I do can have the opportunity when it's finished, please.
Okay, thanks. Councillor Hodge.
Yeah, pardon me, thanks Mr Mayor, and thanks for all the comments. Mostly I agree with what everyone said, but my focus is pure on finance. So I'll focus on that today. And, you know, over the last, I'd say, months and weeks, I've been changing my mind, how I feel with what's going on, what's proposed. So I'll just start trying to go slowly through it. The first point I'd like to make, and this is pure on finance, is even though these budget paper says there's 3 years of consecutive surpluses, you need to go to the 24-25 line, where even though it says a $773,000 surplus, up and above lines you'll see that the discount has been removed, and that's probably around 1.2 million. So if the discount was put back in, that means that year would be in deficit. Okay. So I just want to make that point. That there can be fixed next year's budgets. To me, it's not a big deal. Now, we go to this year's. I've always stated that when we had the valuation increases last year, that we would do the averaging. That was very, very good in what I think. So therefore, I will be voting for the rate change. I think it's fair, it's needed. I know that in the rural sections there's huge ups and downs, but under the legislation we have to rate on the unapproved value of the land. So we've done our best we can in that regard. But the problem I have, and I've always said this, is that I'm prepared to vote for that rate increase, but we need to have a substantial surplus, especially in this year when we haven't got a crystal ball, and as the Deputy Mayor says, we're not sure of where we're going to land. So I've always stated that we should have a significant surplus, and I felt that a 3% would be fine. Thinking about it, I believe that's probably a bridge too far, a 3% increase. But I can't most likely accept a 0.1036% of the recurrent revenue as a surplus. My question is to myself and to the people who elected me and who I represent, which is the whole TRC. The first year, we had a balanced budget and we come home very well, but I think it was about a 1.2 million surplus. This year, the financial position is that we'll be around the 4, maybe the 4.5 million. So my thought is then, well, why are we having a balanced budget when we're in maybe difficult times ahead, when we should be in probably a surplus of maybe 1.5%, and every 1% of the total recurrent revenue is $675,000. So for 2%, you're looking at nearly 1.4, 1.2. And I think that's where we should be. As well, under notes number 2A of the recurrent general purpose grant, where we have the $5.884 million. We're not sure if that's what we're going to get. I'm fairly sure that that's most likely overstated, but we don't really know. You know, we can't get that information out of the Grants Commission at the moment, whether that's overstated or it's not. But if it is overstated, probably to the 1.1 million, my thought then goes back to our surplus. We would have a deficit. So we'd be in deficit, not surplus. So going back to the financial and performance, and I understand this is a budget, it's a plan. It's not set in concrete, it can be changed. But at the end of the day, if we can have 2 consecutive surpluses, substantial surplus, why don't we have one now when we've increased the rates, probably one of the highest in North Queensland? So until the vote is taken, I probably won't be supporting the budget.
Councillor Clifton.
Thanks, Mr Mayor and other speakers. I'm sure all of us councillors, this is our third budget. The first one we've only just been elected. The second one, we're all only feeling our way. And the third one, this one in the mid, getting towards the end of our term with a year and a half to go. I see this as a really critical budget, and I think all the other councillors do. Also given the fact that whilst the Mayor has said quite correctly that we've experienced really strong growth, but we also know from what Councillor Cardew said that inflation's up and away like a rocket, that it's the Reserve Bank and the government expect it to be peak at 8%, if not a little bit more. That's not affecting us, that's affecting the ratepayers as well. We also know that the world is in a turmoil in terms of markets. I just read in the newspaper today that all the cattle export from the north of Australia is all on hold at the moment because of foot and mouth outbreaks in Indonesia. So those cattle have got to go somewhere. They can't just go to even if they're left in the paddock. At every step of the way, our fuel goes up, etc., etc. That will spill off onto the community. The shortages of timber, the shortages of steel, the shortages of other products means that we're not looking forward to a year of growth at all. We're looking forward, in my estimation, to a year of significant diminution. So in that context, I consider the rate and utility charges increase of over 6% as excessive. I would have been able to cope with it if, like a man who's on a diet, we'd been able to tighten our belt. But the expenditure side of our budget this year does not show that we've tightened our belt. And from what the Mayor just said, we've in fact we're balancing our revenue against our expenses. We're not diminishing our expenses. We're not responding to the anticipated spin down that our community is going to feel. So I think I'm not comfortable nor easy with that. But I do think that we have some, in terms of the way we manage our efficiency, our expenditure, the way we carry ourselves as a TRC operationally is about to undergo a significant change. The senior project officer role that the CEO has appointed and is up and running will make a big difference to the efficiency of what we do and thus costs. And the service review, which is currently in train, will make a difference. As I have written here, it's expected that both these initiatives will make changes which reflect positively within the budget. But they are too late to provide me with the light at the end of the tunnel that I want to see. The second element that causes me concern is the fact that we can't have little or no, in fact we have no control over the revaluation exercise conducted by the government. But we are embarking upon a balancing exercise to make sure that rates are equitably applied. Now, as it currently stands, these are rough figures, 30% of the land, that 20% of the landholders should be paying 30% of the rates, but they're not. We need to rebalance it in favour of residential and town living as opposed to rural living. We need to do that. It's probably a 10-year exercise. We have embarked upon it this year. I don't argue with that at all. It must be done in terms of fairness and equity to all the members of the Tableland Regional Council area. But we should have consulted with those people who are going to be significantly, or even in a minor sense effective. We should have talked to people and said, we're going to do this. Because the people who are principally affected are the rural landholders. Their rates are going to be subjected to this distribution, as well as land pressures, as land valuation pressures, as well as the normal pressures that come from the council. I see that as significant lack of transparency on behalf of our management of the budget this time. I want to give full credit to Gary Reinhardt, our CEO, who in rugby league terms, and some people will think that I'm saying the wrong thing here, but in rugby league terms, was handed a hospital pass by recent administrations, and I think he's worked very dutifully and also in an enlightened manner to bring these councils' operations up to scratch. The changes he is making with our administration will ensure that it is revitalised, and I believe that it's not far away, as I've said earlier, and this next year I'll be confident that I'll have a different view. As we're all pondering about these things, I went back to sort of what are my primary obligations as a councillor in the Tableland Regional Council? My primary obligations are to the ratepayers. My secondary obligation is to be part of a unified front for the council so the ratepayers can feel comfortable for it. But my primary obligation is to the ratepayers. And some of the elements of this budget that I don't agree with have challenged me to put the ratepayers before the need to appear united. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Hayden.
Okay. As in all years, this budget is one that has been a challenge. Council endeavours to deliver the best outcomes for the future of our region. We have considered the aspirations of our community while we assure we have met our legislative accountabilities. Council has invested in major infrastructure projects that have benefited our residents, from new parks and playgrounds areas to water infrastructure and road upgrades, which we will continue to deliver in this year's budget to meet current and future needs. This council has made responsible decisions to incrementally increase the water and wastewater charges in recognition of the capital investment required and the cost of operating these services. Office has commenced a service planning activity which will provide councillors with good information on the 10-year financial sustainability of each service delivered. This will assist council to make informed decisions that will facilitate improved services, efficient operations and a sustainable future. And lastly, I thank the Mayor and fellow councillors for all the time we have put into the budget and the banter that we have enjoyed or despised. And I would like to acknowledge the staff who have put in the countless hours to deliver this challenging budget.
Thanks, Councillor Hayden. Councillor Fleming.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. To state that this year's budget was a challenge would be an understatement, taking the words from the Deputy Mayor. Not only do we witness rising inflation, but rising interest rates and generally the cost of living is also trending upwards. Council is also experiencing the same external factors which challenge its ability to deliver services and projects which are to the benefit of our community. This council continues to roll out some amazing projects, some which relate to our ongoing infrastructure upgrades, such as the Ravenshoe water upgrades and the recently completed Jack May Park family-friendly precinct in Malanda. These are only two of a substantial list of achievements completed or still being undertaken. This year, Council had to run the ruler against the budget to ascertain the revenue required to continue our existing levels of services. The next test will be to review all our services, a body of work now being completed and supported by external consultants. I see this as critical in developing our long-term view, and the outcome will inform Council's decisions for a sustainable future whilst balancing community needs and expectations. Whilst CPI continues on its upward trajectory and is estimated to reach 7 or 8% by year's end, this budget remains under that figure. There was no increase in our general rate for the years 2018-19 and 2021, and today we continue to play catch up. The LGAQ defines one of the criteria in a basic health check of any council budget as having revenue increase at least by CPI, something which this budget achieves. To not recognise the current CPI would be irresponsible, in my opinion, and would place community assets at risk of further deterioration. Going forward, council should, in my view, consider the balance between renewals and upgrades, which is informed and underpinned by strategies such as the transport strategy to prioritise where future funds are channelled. This will be a bold deviation from our present modus operandi, but will deliver benefits, particularly when we know we are faced with significant and unavoidable upgrades to our water infrastructure in coming years. We are now a contemporary, modern council whose core business has arguably changed. Roads, rates and rubbish continue to be seen in this light. However, there is a growing continued social obligation and community expectation that council provides services such as libraries, galleries and community focused services. These generally don't raise any revenue and will continue to be funded through our operating revenue. Internal reviews of operations have identified efficiencies and these will continue to be rolled out. This was recently endorsed in our waste strategy, endorsed by council last week. I believe that under the present economic conditions, this budget is responsible and provides a level of equity and revenue collection from our community while continuing to deliver the services that contribute to the overall livability of our beautiful region. And just in final, I'd like to thank the CEO Gary, General Manager Hillary, and particularly Finance Manager Erica and her team for providing direction in this process. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Bilney. Councillor Wilkes did flag one final opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, thanks very much, fellow councillors. As Councillor Hodge indicated, this budget is a plan and it's open to review, upgrade and amendments as we go along the way. We do, however, have to keep in mind where we want to be this time next year, which brings us on to a rolling issue, I suppose. We too are an organisation that is hurting financially the same as any other business that's in our shire. We speak of the 6%. Is it fair? Is it unfair? The 6% is required to provide a level of service that the community expect and demand of our organisation. We have argued for a bit over 2 years on service levels and where can we cut and where can we save, and as hard as we can, we still haven't been able to determine where we can cut those services because the community do demand and expect. And as Councillor Bilney alluded to, that it's not just the roads, rates and water anymore. We do have community expectations, and if you look at our shire and where we live, I think we've achieved that fairly well. Moving forward, in 12 months' time, we will have hopefully the benefit of the wash up of the service review, and that will give us a far better indicator than what we've had to this point in time as to where we're going. Unfortunately, we haven't got that knowledge today, so we have to rely on the information that we have been given and the history that we have. And to reiterate what my fellow councillor have said, I thank the management team and in particular the CEO for his leadership in that area in bringing us to where we are now. We have huge challenges, especially in the area of our asset management that we've had many hours of discussion over, depreciation and insurances and upgrades that we've all spoken of. The other issue we have is with staff movements within the organisation and our stability. And I really think that if we were to not endorse this budget for the next 12 months, we would see a degradation within our organisation, and the Shire can't afford that. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Wilkes. Can I just ask councillors to progress through to item 6.1 in our budget documents, which is page 7. So 6.1 is rating categories. Could I have a mover and seconder for A and B in rating categories? Councillor Hodge is moving. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Clifton. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Page 11. Differential general rates. Could I have a mover for differential general rates A, B, C and D? Councillor Hodge is moving. Councillor Wilkes is seconding. Those in favour? So we've got 6 there. Would you like us recorded against?
Yes, please, Mr. Mayor.
So Councillor Clifton against, please, Jackie. Page 15, special charges. Could I have a mover and seconder for overall plan Malanda Sewerage Scheme? Councillor Cardew moving, Councillor Hayden seconding. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Page 15, annual implementation plan, Malanda Sewerage Scheme. Could I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Clifton's moving, Councillor Wilkes seconding. Those in favour? Carried, thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, did we do 3.1 and 3.2?
We've just done 3.2.
We did 3.1.
We did 3.1, yes. 3.3, special charge for the Malanda Sewerage Scheme. Could I have a mover for that, which includes A, B and C? Councillor Hodge moving, Councillor Cardew seconding. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Page 17, Emergency Management Fire and Rescue Levy. Can I have a mover? Councillor Wilkes and Councillor Bilney seconding. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Page 17 again, Rural Fire Brigade Levy, A, B and C. Can I have a mover for Rural Fire Brigade Levy, A, B and C? Councillor Clifton, moving. Councillor Cardew. Those in favour? Carried. Page 19, Sewerage Utility Charges, A and B. A mover for sewerage utility charges A and B. Councillor Wilkes moving, Councillor Hodge seconding. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Page 20, Water Utility Charges. Could I have a mover for water utility charges A and B? Councillor Clifton moving, Councillor Bilney seconding. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Waste management utility charges. Can I have a mover for waste management utility charges? Councillor Cardew moving and Councillor Clifton, thank you. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Page 21, levy and payment, A, B, C and D. Can I have a mover for levy and payment A, B, C and D? Councillor Hodge and Councillor Bilney seconding. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Page 22, discount A and B. Can I have a mover for discount A and B? Councillor Clifton moving and Councillor Hayden. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Page 22 again, interest A and B. Can I have a mover for interest A and B? Councillor Wilts moving and Councillor Bilney seconding. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Concessions, A, B, C and D. Can I have a mover for concessions, A, B, C and D? Councillor Clifton moving and seconder, Councillor Hodge. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Page 23, water usage concessions policy. Can I have a mover, please, and a seconder? Councillor Wilts and Councillor Hayden. Thank you. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Rates and charges concessions policy. Can I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Hodge and Councillor Wilts. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Adoption of revenue statement. A mover and seconder, please. Councillor Hayden moving and Councillor Bilney. Those in favour? Okay, carried. Councillor against? Councillor Clifton? Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Adoption of annual operation plan. Can I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Cardew and Councillor Wilts. Those in favour? Carried. So that's 6-1. Jackie with Councillor Clifton against, please. Page 24, adoption of financial statements A, B and C. Can I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Hodge is moving and a seconder, thank you. Councillor Hayden. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. And yeah, Councillor Clifton against on that one. Thank you. Item 18, investment policy. Can I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Clifton is moving and Councillor Bilney seconding. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Item 19, debt policy. Can I have a mover and a seconder, the debt policy? Councillor Wilts is moving and Councillor Bilney. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Item 20, revenue policy. Can I have a mover and a seconder of the revenue policy? Councillor Hodge and Councillor Clifton. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. 21, procurement policy. Can I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Cardew and Councillor Wilts. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. 22, statement of estimated financial position. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Bilney and Councillor Hayden. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. 23, rural fire levy area map. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Wilts and seconded Councillor Cardew. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. 24, business activities A and B. Can I have a mover for business activities A and B? Councillor Hodge, moving, and Councillor Clifton. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. 25, adoption of the budget A and B. Can I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Cardew is moving. Councillor Wilts. Those in favour? Okay, carried. Thank you, and we'll record those two against.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, seek the leave of the council just to make a couple of comments. Firstly, to thank my team for the work that they've done. It's been an extended effort. Started back September, I think, we started. So we'll have to bring that forward again this year. I'm very pleased to hear that. And I just wanted to reflect on your comments, Councillor Clifton, about hospital passes. A lot of my rugby league, I was going to say career, but then realised that's a serious overstatement of what it was. I spent much of my playing days on the wing. I know what a hospital pass looks like, and I didn't get one coming here. It's a great place to work. It's a productive, progressive and growing region, and it remains 12 months in. Really good to be here. Just leave it there.
Thanks. There being no further business, we'll call the meeting closed. Thanks, everyone. Very good. We might have a short reconvene there. Have a bit of morning tea.